Let's now shift focus to some other story that we are tracking at this moment. The financial watchdog NFRA has found Deloitte, the big auditing firm, and two of its auditors are guilty of professional misconduct. Now, this is in regarding to the the audit that they had done with the Zee Entertainment Group. NFRA has imposed a fine of 2 crore rupees on Deloitte, Haskins and Cells LLP, as well as penalties on 2 chartered accountants for lapses in the auditing of Zee Entertainment Enterprises Limited during the year 2018-19 and 19-20 financial years. Along with slapping a fine of 10 lakh, AB Jani has been barred from taking up any audit work for 5 years, while the fine is rupees 5 lakh for Rakesh Sharma and the debarment is for a period of 3 years. Now, this raises some very serious questions, ladies and gentlemen, as far as the auditing firms are concerned, these big auditing giants, because this is also, it erodes the public trust in all these mechanisms as well. Now, and it also is not the first time where Deloitte, not just in India, but globally, has the questions or red flags have been raised as far as their auditing mechanisms are concerned. Now, joining me at this moment, Mr. Shashank Gupta, Senior Director, Mark Tax Advisor, Gopal Kedia, Tax Expert, CA Managing Partner, GK Kedia and Company, Amarjit Chopra, former President ICAI, is also joining us. Gentlemen, thank you so much for speaking to us. Let's just, in fact, keep the focus here on what has happened as far as this entire auditing process is concerned. And let me start by asking you, Mr. Gupta, auditing is a serious responsibility. It's also in somewhere a social responsibility. It's governed by certain codes. Like there will be certain codes for, let's say, doctors, lawyers, even journalists, because we put out our work, it's for public good. Now, in that scenario, how serious are these transgressions or these penalties which have been laid on Deloitte, sir?
So these penalties are certainly something that was required in the present case. And since you specifically mentioned that the codes applicable, relevant regulations which are applicable, let us please also understand that the entity involved in this case was a listed entity. Then second in the line, the auditor is a part of the International Big Four Alliance. And both of them is the misappropriation of funds. The quantum of funds involved is in 200 crores. So I think 3 put in line make it quite a serious concern. And I think the action that NFRA has taken has quite appropriately taken in the present case.
Right, but Gopal Kedia, and I'm asking this, because this is not the first time Deloitte has been questioned or penalties raised, not just in India, but there are other cases as well. We are putting out some of them on our screens as well. In this case, NFRA has also said that Deloitte ignored red flags raised by the lenders in the Zee Entertainment audit case. This is almost betraying the trust of the public, isn't it, sir?
Deloitte ignored red flags raised by the lenders in the Zee Entertainment.
You see, the responsibility is auditor to present a true and fair report to the stakeholders. Of course, I agree. This is the responsibility of the auditor to see all the things which are related with the transactions and report accordingly. The auditor has to be more careful, more cautious in presenting the report. Since the NFRA has came, the things are being highlighted more and more, and NFRA is imposing the penalty in terms of amount, in terms of cancellation of the certificate of practice in a very, very heavy way. So the auditor has to be very much cautious, and they have to be careful while presenting the report and doing the audit.
Right, Mr. Chopra, but the question that a lot of people are asking is that, is it just 2 people, negligence on their part? Because this is not the first time it has happened. It has happened multiple times. Then the question goes that whether this was some sort of a willful arrangement between the people, those who are being audited, and the company which was auditing them. That is why I was asking the question that it does, in fact, somewhere erodes the trust of the public as far as the other consulting firms, auditing firms are also concerned. People view them with a suspicion. Mr. Chopra? Okay, I think Mr. Chopra cannot hear us at this moment. May I request Mr. Gupta if you could take that question, sir?
So here my perspective on the question that you've raised is that while this incidence in itself is a grave incidence, and I think it is appropriately invited the proceedings through NFRA, but I think at the same time, I would like to mention that we should reserve ourselves from generalizing that this is the norm or this is how usually it happens, because one of these instances, when they've happened, and I think the entire existence of NFRA and the specific application of penalty in this case is in itself setting a standard, is in itself setting a landmark that any such future incidences do not occur. And I think gradually and slowly and in the due course, we will look forward to a day when these kinds of incidences may also go away down the line.
Ask you this, like you said that this should be taken as an aberration. But like we have seen, and during our research, we saw not only just in United Kingdom, but other countries across the globe also, there have been some serious penalties which have been put on Deloitte for certain breaches of ethics, and and that is why I was saying that this is not an isolated incident as far as this company is concerned. Not generally talking about all the auditing firms, but does this mean, and specifically in Indian context, does this mean that there should be more scrutiny of auditors? Are the current checks and balances adequate as far as our country is concerned?
So I think there should certainly, the fandom around Big Four organizations should certainly come down, specifically in light of the global incidences recurringly occurring. I think the fandom around Big Four stamp being the final verdict on any financials, I think that needs to be watered down. And I think this also directly points to the fact that the Indian-grown organizations are maybe doing a better job than as compared to the fandom around the Big Four organizations.
Right, Mr. Chopra is back with us, sir, because why am I just trying to put it across as a matter of trust, as something that how will public have trust like in the Big Fours, including Deloitte, which has been multiple time offender? Because take a look at a few examples. The big scams like of Satyam, of Byju's, these were in fact auditors playing as far as these big companies are concerned, which has had an impact on the investors as well. So to have a complete firm faith on the audits which are conducted of these big companies, what do you think is the way forward, sir?
Firstly, thanks to you for really inviting me here. And secondly, what I would like to say is, you see, I don't want to make it a debate between big or small in any case. I think it is an audit failure. And audit failure in the real sense of it. Because what happened, if you look at 2019 balance sheet, probably there is no disclosure even with regard to the lien. What has happened actually is that Mr. Subhash Chandra wrote a simple letter from Zee to Yes Bank before 2019 and said that these for the loans that you will give to our other companies, group companies, we shall give you the deposits. It was a sort of a letter of comfort. It was not a guarantee. Let's also blame the bankers for that particular matter. Let's be very clear about it. I think the bankers can't wash up their hands. It was never a guarantee. It was a sort of a letter of comfort. And I'm sure that I'm quite apprehensive that probably Deloitte must have written to the bankers with regard to the external confirmations also in 2019 under SA 505, whether the bankers actually confirmed that there was this letter of comfort available with them. And if they did not inform it to the auditors cannot be blamed for it. The auditors can only be blamed to the extent that in 2019-20, when these particular fixed deposit was prematurely encashed by Yes Bank, because they invoked this in that, and then they distributed the money to the various companies and credited an interest of almost 3 crore rupees to Zee Entertainment Limited.
Right.
At that particular point of time, the auditor should have raised this particular issue. And the most surprising part to me is that Mr. Subhash Chandra himself was actually the chairman of the committee which was looking into this particular instance. How this was, what kind of corporate governance the Indian corporates are giving? I think it is Subhash Chandra more than the auditors, very frankly, if you ask me, who needs to be hauled up in this particular case. I will not exonerate the auditors under any circumstances, because once they had found out that this has happened, if they had looked at the bank reconciliation statement, they should have reported under 143(12) to the MCA as a fraud, and a fraud committed by the promoter of the company. Under all
let me get in Mr. Kedia on this. Mr. Kedia, does that mean then we need better framework as far as these auditing companies are concerned in future?
Hello, I agree with the Amarjit Chopra ji, whatever he has told. You see, every company is having best of the art and technology, but improvement is required. Accounting standards are there to regulate the profession of accountancy. Standard on auditing is there. NFRA is continuously improving the standard on auditing. SA 600 episode was there, in which NFRA has insisted that that should be improved. So there is always a scope for improvement, and each and every firm should try to improve itself and to satisfy the stakeholders' things.
Gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this very important discussion, because a lot rides as far as these audits are concerned. Not only for the investors, but now with the stock market, a lot of people, in fact, are coming in and putting in their hard-earned money. There needs to be an absolute transparency as far as these big companies are concerned. And of course, the questions also to be raised, as one of our guests was saying, that at least this big four need to be brought down as far as the fandom is concerned around these auditing companies. Thank you so much for being with us.